Thanks again, everyone, for sharing and also joining us during your lunch hour. For this Lunch and Learn, there will be several FAFSA and CASFA updates today. And then also we're fortunate enough to have some guest speakers from Colorado Mountain College, and they'll be sharing their school's experience with FAFSA and CASFA today. I'm sure that'll be quite enlightening. And then at the end, we'll address questions and I'll share some upcoming events with everyone. But I'll start us off with introductions. I'm Jennifer Lucero, the new Outreach Navigator for the Department of Higher Education. Twyla is off hopefully enjoying some time off this week. So I'll be sitting in for her and I will pass it off to Martha.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Marta Herrera, and I am the FAFSA coordinator for CDHE. I will pass it over to Sophie.
Thank you, Martha. Hi, everyone, and thank you again for being here on your lunch break. My name is Sophie Vogel, and I am the CASFA coordinator for CDHE, and I'm going to pass it to Janelle.
All right, thanks, Sophie. My name is Janelle Cook, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid at Colorado Mountain College, and I will pass it to Teresa.
Hey everyone, I'm Teresa Hatzock. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid at Colorado Mountain College, and we're glad you're here.
Thanks everyone for those introductions, and we will start things off today with Martha and the FAFSA updates.
Again, hello everyone and happy Wednesday. I am so happy to see you all here ready to learn about all of the new updates FSAID has announced lately. I have some great updates and more updates regarding delays. I know we don't want to hear that, but those are the new updates that FSAID has announced. So please continue encouraging students and parents to not give up and keep them informed of all of these new updates. Just encourage them to keep pushing through. I know it's difficult times, but if they don't fill out this form, they'll miss out on big opportunities. I wish that FSA would consider giving like a bonus Pell Grant for everything to students for everything that they have been going through, because I know it has been super challenging, but that might not happen. Also, please bear with me if I run out of breath. I have a little one squishing through all my organs, so please bear with me. I will share my screen in just a minute. Let me see. Are you all able to see my screen? Yeah? Okay, good. So some of the FAFSA updates are that as of March 12th, FSA announced that they resolved 2 issues impacting contributors without a social security number, which is awesome because these populations had been having such a challenging time. But with that being said, now parents with no social security who have a verified FSA ID can now contribute in the FAFSA form. But we still have some remaining issues. I know there's always a but, right? They must manually provide their tax information, even if the taxes were filed with an IT number. So as of right now, there is no timeline for when that is going to get fixed. So if they start the form, they will be required to input their tax information manually. Also, on March 10th, FSA started sending ICERs to colleges to process student records. So students should be able to receive the award letters pretty soon. But while doing this process, a department recently identified a vendor issue that was incorrectly calculating the student aid index for records of dependent student with assets. So this issue affected less than 10% of the 4 million records that have already been processed and have been resolved since the issue was identified. The department said that the issue has been resolved for all ICERs delivered on and after March 21st, 2024. ICERs for dependent students with assets that were delivered prior to March 21st will be reprocessed by FSA. So just FYI, some students might have to wait longer than others on receiving their SAI and their submission summaries. Also, submission summary should be available to students now, but FSA is not sending emails letting them know they are ready. So students should be frequently logging into their dashboard to see if they have received their submission summary. If they have received their submission summary, they will be able to see if they are needing to provide corrections on their form. Most like FSA announced on March 25th that students and parents will not be able to make corrections on their form until the first half of April. I interpret that as mid-April, so students won't be able to make any corrections until then. So most likely students will not be receiving award letters until May, unless students do not have to make corrections. They might be receiving their award letters sooner, but if they do have to make that correction, they have to wait until mid-April to be able to receive their award letters. Also, lastly, our FAFSA completion portal will not be available until May. We are working on sending data share agreements to our districts to renew their contracts. So if your district would like to have access to the FAFSA completion portal, please email me. I have provided my email here in this PowerPoint. For those of you that do not know what the FAFSA completion portal is, it's a tool that we provide to counselors and staff so they can be able to check if students have complete applications or if their application's incomplete, if they are missing signatures or whatever the case may be. So moving on, I do want to talk to you all about updates on the manual documentation verification for contributors without a social security number. So for those contributors that had to submit identity documents manually, a large backlog of submitted identity documents has been cleared and applicants have been notified. So if some contributors have received rejection emails, the main reason is because the documents that were received were either blurry or they send in the wrong documents. So please advise your students to make sure they are submitting the correct documents and that they are not blurry. And if they are still waiting to receive an answer regarding the documents, encourage those contributors to call and ask for a Tier 2 FSA ID specialist. So once they call the FAFSA number, just tell them to ask for a Tier 2 so they can be connected with that representative so they can answer questions about their documentation and about the manual process. Another awesome thing is that now case numbers are auto-generated, so students no longer have to call and request a case number. They will just get an email right away with it. So that's a win because I know that was really challenging for students having to call and sometimes their calls would get dropped or they weren't even able to get in contact with them just in order to get that case number. But it seems like now it's auto-generated, so contributors should get that case number email right away. So moving on, I am going to talk about manual identity verification steps. So now that the backlog has been cleared, document verification will now take 7 days. And the documentations that are going to be required are going to be a driver's license, state, city ID, foreign passport, or a utility bill. They will still have to complete the attestation form, but now a new update is that the attestation form is provided in Spanish and English now. So it'll be easier for contributors to fill that out. The documents will need to be submitted to the email that I have provided in this PowerPoint. Alrighty, so now I want to talk to you all about the major fixes that FSA ID has changed. So one of them is permanent resident numbers ending with a 0 may now be entered. So that way students are not stuck in the loop. They can continue filing now. Students born in the year 2000 are no longer caught in a loop as well. So now those students that are 24 years old can now submit their form. Citizenship status can be changed from eligible to non-citizen. I know students would get confused and put the wrong citizen status, and before it would not let them update it or change it. So now they're able to do so. Non-contributors without a social security number can now verify their ID and can start contributing in the FAFSA form. That is a really great, much needed change. And then now FAFSA submission summary should be available if they have been processed for students. And like I said before, please encourage the students to log into their application and check frequently, because they will not be receiving an email stating that they have processed their application and that their submission summaries are available. Okay. And I think this is just an overview of what I just said. So have students log into their account via access existing form, check my activity, so they can be able to see their submission summary. So some FAFSA submission reminders are for the student aid index. The SAI may be different than what they receive on their initial confirmation email due to all of the updates, the SAI calculation updates. So they might receive a different SAI. Just let students know why. And just a reminder, SAI could be a negative number. It can go as low as negative 1,500. If there is no SAI, it means that either consent or corrections are needed. And like I said, students won't be able to make corrections until mid-April. For federal tax information, just a reminder, any information shared via direct data exchange will not show up on the FAFSA submission summary. And for contributor information, students can see all non-federal tax information, contributor information that was entered, and parents and spouse or contributors do not have access to that submission summary. They have pretty limited information on the submission summary. Also, some submission summary lookouts are for missing or uncalculated SAIs, missing consent, or missing signatures. And then, so FAFSA corrections are not available yet. A banner will display letting students know to check for corrections, and it will say it will have a button that says make corrections on the submission summary, and it will be grayed out. When corrections are open, students can make correction to any section of their FAFSA form, but if the correction is in the contributor section, it will require the contributor's signature. There is no timeline indicated for how long they will take to receive their corrector summary after they made all of those corrections. And I think those are all my FAFSA updates. I will pass it over to Sophie to talk to you all about some CASFA updates.
Thank you, Martha. That was terrific. There is obviously a ton going on with FAFSA, so that is exciting. And there are truly some positive updates. I am sharing my screen because I'm going to talk about CASFA updates. I just want to make sure that you all can see it. Terrific. So about the CASFA, currently the 24-25 CASFA ICERs have the outdated SAI calculations, and our software developer plans to correct the SAI calculation in early April. So for those of you who have been keeping track, this outdated SAI calculation came directly from federal student aid, and then FSA has corrected the SAI calculation, and so our software developer is going to do the same. Early April, I am hoping, will be next week, and I am not entirely sure because timelines continue to change. I want to note some students may want to wait to complete their CASFA until the correct SAI calculation is updated in early April, like in 2 weeks. In my experience, I've had the pleasure of working with lots of 12th graders. I don't think every 12th grader will be able to wait 2 weeks and return to a task later. So I just want to invite you all to try to use discretion when communicating with your students, because some students will say, oh, sure, I'll come back in 2 weeks. Yes, and that will definitely happen. Please do not suggest to a student, don't complete your CASFA yet, wait 2 weeks, to a student who's not really likely to follow up, right? And I'll explain more details about that. So the reason is, if a student completes a CASFA today, this afternoon, you work with a student, that will have the outdated SAI calculation, because we're in the end of March. We're not in early April yet. The final bullet on this slide, the 2024-25 CASFA ICERs will be reprocessed to update and correct the SAI calculation by the end of May. Our software developer originally estimated end of April for this reprocessing. So I just wanted to let you all know that the time frames continue to shift some. So a student who is not really very good at follow-up, they can complete their CASFA today, and then their CASFA will automatically be reprocessed, and we're thinking by the end of May to have an updated SAI. And then, of course, if there's any questions about this, this is complicated. I wish this were simpler. We can talk about those questions. So editing CASFA with caution. Students who complete their 24-25 CASFAs between January 31st, 2023 and before the SAI calculation is corrected, so we're estimating early April, they may edit their CASFA to obtain a new ICER with the correct SAI. So the students who want to do this will be students who need to compare financial aid awards as soon as possible and make decisions to meet commitment deadlines, right? So that is a student who April 15th edits their CASFA, and then after editing, their CASFA has the correct SAI and it's sent to their colleges, and then they receive financial aid awards because they are trying to meet a June 1st commitment deadline, for example. I just want to say, please use caution to avoid confusion. I love students, I really do, and I think that communicating with them requires very specific maybe guidelines. So please utilize discretion with when communicating with students to avoid miscommunication. Please do not tell all your students they have to edit their CASFAs, because not all of them need to. Some of them will benefit from editing their CASFAs, but I think I'm concerned that there could be misinformation about we all have to edit our CASFAs, when in truth, nobody has to. Additionally, consider supporting a student who struggles to follow instructions in person, as opposed to sending them an email or a virtual message, because we all know students. So once the 2024-25 CASFA SAI is being correctly calculated, I will post this update here, and I will say the 2024-2025 CASFA SAI calculation is updated. So this screenshot is the CASFA account portal, and I'll be able to put those notes right there in the red circle. So that information will be available to all of you. In order to find this, just search CASFA and go to apply now. And then thank you so much. I think we should hold questions until the end. So please be patient as we continue. I'm going to invite Colorado Mountain College to share some exciting information about their perspective, because they're in the midst. They're doing it. I saw on a Slack, the NASFA Slack, somebody said, we're all on this struggle bus together. So maybe that might be relevant. Thank you again.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Martha, again for inviting us. And yes, Sophie, we're doing this, right? We don't have any other choice. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see the presentation? Okay. All right. Well, as I introduced in the beginning, my name is Janelle Cook, and I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at Colorado Mountain College. And I'm going to be co-presenting with my friend and my colleague, Teresa Hadsock.
Hey guys, Janelle and I have worked together for about over 23 years at Colorado Mountain College. So you're in good hands with Janelle, I promise you.
Thanks, T. All right, we will be presenting today on CMC's strategic approach to delays and obstacles in federal student aid. Our agenda today is increases in Pell funding for CMC students. So what we are expecting for our students with the FAFSA simplification changes and the new formula for determining financial aid eligibility. We will also be covering funding opportunities at CMC. And then just to, get it out in the open, the elephant in the room, what we're hearing and seeing, I'm just going to be completely transparent because we've all seen it and we're not going to pretend that we haven't. FAFSA delays, FAFSA fiasco, FAFSA mess, FAFSA issues, FAFSA errors, FAFSA complication. We all know there's a lot going on in financial aid that is beyond our control, but what can we control? We can control our strategy and we can control our services. So in the fall of 2023, we ran our prior year's data, financial aid data, through a tool that was created to help institutions determine the impact of the FAFSA simplification changes on our students, and specifically the new formula that was going to be used to determine eligibility. The result that we saw was that we would see a 23% increase in Pell Grant funds for our CMC students. So keep in mind, this was a projection and this is not a certainty. But this tool was utilized back in the fall, and since then there have been more adjustments and corrections to the federal formula that will be used to determine eligibility on the FAFSA. The federal student aid adjustments and corrections do expect a greater benefit to students than what was initially anticipated. So we have not had the opportunity to run our data back through the tool after the updates were made by federal student aid, but we do expect a greater increase in Pell funding to benefit more students with the corrections. So according to this modeling tool, the temporary FAFSA setbacks will ultimately lead to more financial aid for CMC students. We continue to tell students that the FAFSA is worth their time and their effort to complete. So here you will see a list of some of the funding opportunities that we offer here at Colorado Mountain College. This is not an exhaustive list. This list does include institutional, federal, and many of the state opportunities, thanks to the work at CDHE. We do want to point out that all but 2 on this list do require the FAFSA or the CASFA to be completed. So again, it is always encouraged for students to complete the FAFSA or the CASFA to maximize their funding opportunities. So for example, students who qualify for the Colorado Foster Ed program, they will have all their expenses covered up to their full cost of attendance. But again, they must complete the FAFSA or the CASFA in addition to a few other steps to qualify. Here at Colorado Mountain College, if a student does answer yes on their FAFSA, we do reach out to them to inform them of the next steps if they've answered yes to the foster youth question. Some of the aid that you see offered here list specific amounts, but you can also see that in some cases, the amount varies. It's a combination of aid that's offered that helps students meet their educational expenses and pay for college. I also did want to mention that we did keep our foundation scholarship priority deadline the same this year. The FAFSA or the CASFA is not required for students to be considered for our scholarship, but rather it is strongly encouraged for students to complete. So not extending the deadline, it did not seem to have a negative impact on our students. We did receive about the same number, if not more, students applying for our foundation scholarships. With the delays that have occurred with the federal processing, CMC, we're going to continue to offer flexibility where needed. So for example, here at CMC, we do offer a President Scholarship, which is offered to every in-district 2024 high school graduate. The deadline is usually May 1st. However, with all the delays we are experiencing, we have extended the deadline for applying to CMC and completing the FAFSA or the CASFA to July 1st. This is a $1,000 tuition scholarship, and more information can be found on the CMC President Scholarship webpage. We also offer the Colorado Mountain Promise, which is for our Colorado resident students. Students must complete, again, the FAFSA or the CASFA, and with a combination of federal, state, and institutional funds are used to pay a student's tuition first. The determination date has not been set for fall yet. However, students can continue to check our webpage for when the date is announced. And again, we will continue to have flexibility when needed. So although the FAFSA simplification and all the changes were ultimately made to make the process simpler for students, We understand that students are not all having a positive experience. As of recently, there were still populations of students who were still unable to complete the FAFSA and were experiencing issues. We did receive feedback from our financial aid staff who work directly with students on how students are feeling. And I'm going to turn it over to Teresa to go over that feedback.
Thanks, Janelle. Great job. Thanks to everyone, actually. It's been fantastic. So as you can read, we did have some students that were getting frustrated and stressed because financial aid does play a crucial role in whether or not they can attend post-secondary education. There was some disappointment because they heard at the end of January we might be getting FAFSAs. Now it's that March and we're still kind of rolling things out the door. Some were a little bit shocked, and then there were some that would just really go with the flow, like just keep going. We're just going to keep going. We'll keep swimming. We're just going to keep swimming. We're just going to keep waiting for the FAFSA. And when you guys let us know, we're going to get in. We're going to get going. So what we did is tell the students, and what we're going to tell you now is our strategy for how we are moving forward. And as you can tell, and Janelle mentioned this, there's many things beyond our control, but the Office of Financial Aid at CMC is being proactive in what we can control. And we have a fantastic financial aid team, and they've never been more accessible than they are right now in order to combat the FAFSA delays. Our strategy has been to keep it positive and to encourage the students not to give up. We've increased our services during this time, and we've emphasized the message that we're here to help. We demonstrate equity, care, innovation, and integrity in each financial aid encounter, whether the students be with our student and families or the staff. We, again, as mentioned, we do have a great financial aid team who really wants our students to benefit from this delay. So they've worked hard to excel in serving our students and making themselves available. We have office hours now, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 7 in English and in Spanish, Friday afternoon. We've made more of an effort to focus increasing visibility on our campuses, not only attending our visit and orientation days, but also reaching out and attending any campus meeting that we can with leadership. We've been in the high schools through financial aid workshops and scholarship events, both in person and virtual. We've done radio announcements, TV interviews, and not to mention we have Swoop, a chatbot, which we recently added live chat hours. Students have the option to book an appointment and receive help in completing the FAFSA or CASFA. We also attended and made ourselves available at career expos. So our appointments and phone services and communication are available in English and Spanish. CMC is a Hispanic serving institution, and we've gone through great efforts with the 24-25 FAFSA launch to make sure we're communicating to both sets of students. I'm going to quickly go through some examples that we sent out. Here's an example of our text message and email that were sent in both English and Spanish. Our next slide is just a couple of pictures from a TV interview, which we're partnering with marketing and admissions. And then the other picture is from a financial aid night in Salida. Our next slide is a financial aid specialist presenting in Spanish to our SEPA classes. We're currently enrolled. And then we have some virtual office hours. And what we've done, and this really helped us over COVID, was we went from a decentralized, CMC has 11 campuses through the western slope of Colorado, and we became one office in financial aid. So now you don't have to just go to the Steamboat campus and wait for someone there to answer your questions. You can go to any CMC campus, drop into these hours at any time, and get your services. You don't have to wait to a specific day, or you don't have to wait in line to see someone at a specific campus. We've done really well, if I do think so myself. We've done remarkable of this one office approach, and it allows our team to keep their mental health at the forefront as well, to where they can still take some time for themselves, because it's not going to bottleneck for them, because we have their back and the student can meet to the next financial aid specialist that's available. Then we have a tentative timeline that's been adjusted, as Sophie mentioned earlier in the presentation. This has been adjusted quite a few times, so I like the word tentative. And we continue to adjust, and as we encounter these delays. In a normal year, we would begin processing in February. So CMC is not that far behind just yet. We hope to be receiving the FAFSA data by the end of March and to begin sending out aid offers mid to late April. The financial aid administrators are learning a new meaning of the term March Madness, and sometimes it's been entertaining. Our CASFA applications will be reprocessed and sent back to CMC by the end of May, that as was mentioned earlier as well. However, when a student does a FAFSA CASFA, they have to remember that they still have some responsibilities, right? So we always want to encourage them, no matter what, to complete their FAFSA or CASFA as soon as they can. And sometimes there's additional documentation that's needed from the student. And it's important that the student check their email from whatever school they're going to, whether it's Pikes Peak or CMC or CU. They need to be reading everything that's being sent to them. Currently, CMC communicates 100% via email. So if we request a submitted documentation, we want that documentation back to CMC. And the student can check their CMC portal at 24/7. This is available to them to see where they're at with any maybe missing documents, where they're at if they've been once awarded, and they can review and accept their offers if that's required. So we always try to make this available to them so they know where they're at. If they can't hear from us or they haven't heard from us, they can check their portal and see where they're at in their steps. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the fabulous Janelle to close this out.
All right, thanks, team. So the one message that we want to leave you with and we want to emphasize is that the Office of Financial Aid here at Colorado Mountain College, that we are here to help. We are doing everything in our power to expedite the awarding process while we continue to support those who might be still having difficulty completing the FAFSA. We're here to help students. We're here to help you. The services that Teresa went over, they are not only for students, but they are for anyone to utilize. If you're sitting with a student, if a parent has questions, they are more than welcome to drop into our virtual open office hours, book an appointment. Again, we are happy to help. And we just appreciate the partnership with CDHE and the opportunity to be able to present to you all today. On behalf of the Office of Financial Aid here at Colorado Mountain College, thank you to all the high school counselors for all your time and work that you do to students to support their financial aid and college journey. We know that this is an unusual time with all the delays and issues impacting one of the biggest decisions that students will need to make. We appreciate all of you encouraging students to stick with the financial aid process, communicate with their financial aid offices, reach out for questions, and that the wonderful, kind financial aid staff at Colorado Mountain College are here to help. And then I just want to lastly mention, before we open it up for questions, that there is also a webinar being offered by Federal Student Aid tomorrow evening that is going to be for students on how to submit a 24-25 FAFSA form. This will be recorded, and so if students, I know that several of the districts are on spring break, and if they happen to miss it, this could be something that they could watch at a later date. All right, turn it back over to you, Sophie and Martha.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa and Janelle. Looks like you guys are doing great work at Colorado Mountain College. Thank you for everything and all your support. We want to shift gears to answer some of the questions that you all ask in the registration form. So I will start off by asking the first question after we are done reading these questions and answering them. We'll open it up for you all to ask any additional questions for me, Sophie, Teresa, and Janelle. So one of the questions that was asked was, will the students whose signatures were dropped by FAFSA need to resign, or can FAFSA correct the problem that is of no fault of the student? So unfortunately, yes, the student will have to go back in and make the correction. So they'll have to log in to see if they have received their submission summary, and in their submission summary, it should say if they need to make that correction, and then wait until mid-April to be able to make that correction and submit it.
Our next question was about federal personnel and funding for technical assistance and on-the-ground support. So I actually can't even remember if it was this month or last month. The Department of Education released a FAFSA college support strategy to provide additional personnel, funding, resources, and technology to help schools and students complete the Better FAFSA form and to help colleges prepare to process student records as quickly and as accurately as possible. I've added the website here, and they did have this email specifically. I'm not sure about the application process. However, please use this as a resource. If you need to know more about the FAFSA college support strategy or your college is interested in applying.
Thank you, Sophie. Next question is help with submitting FAFSA for incarcerated individuals. If experiencing issues online, try to submit the paper FAFSA. The paper FAFSA says incarcerated applicant form as a header. CDHE, we are preparing to provide more assistance to incarcerated students and prison education programs. So be on the lookout for those updates. We are trying to partner with schools that will be offering those programs so we can better support that population. But those updates should be coming in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Martha. Good to know. I'll take the next one. Why was the system not able to retrieve IRS data for those contributors? And I think Martha did actually touch on this in her updates, and that is assuming that this question refers to contributors without social security numbers, that if they weren't able to be verified through their FSA ID, then that IRS data, if they aren't able to pull that over. So contributors will have to manually enter that income information. And unfortunately, to report, there is no timeline for that resolution.
Thank you, Jennifer. And then another question is, what can we give our 11th graders before summer break so they can begin gathering the information they will need in October for the 2025-26 form? Terrific question. We would love it if you could encourage your 11th graders to talk to their families to make sure their contributor completes their 2023 taxes. So this link here that I've included is about who is the contributor, right? Because in fact, if no one has done their taxes, and it's a family with separated parents and things like that, then not everyone actually has to do their taxes, just the contributor does. And that links to this, which I feel like is such a helpful infographic to help understand who is a contributor. So please help support students who are still in high school next year. If their contributors have completed their 2023 taxes, they will be in great shape to complete the 2025-26 form come October 2024. So those are the questions that you all shared with us when you were registering. And we would love to open it up if anyone has any questions about FAFSA for Martha, about CASFA for myself, about the wonderful information CMC shared. Please go ahead and ask questions.
Hi, my name is Anais Castillo, and I work with East Central BOCES and the Migrant Education Program out in the eastern side of Colorado. I have been struggling with the FAFSA form with all my seniors due to the part where the parent needed to be verified. So it took us a while to get those parents verified, but we finally got them verified. The student part of the FAFSA is completed and signed. And when we log into the parent's account, we cannot get where the parent needs to sign. And so we go back to the student section and it says like that we can resend the invitation for the parent to sign, but it's not letting us. It won't let us. We have tried so many different ways. I have been contacting the FAFSA support center, haven't been able to do anything of that. So the parent has been verified already. And then on the student portal, it says that we're waiting for contributor information, but there's no way for the parent to actually get back in there and get all that finished and signed and submitted. Do you guys have any of you seen that before, or?
Hi, Anais. Thanks for sharing. Have you tried when you call the FAFSA number to ask for a tier 2 specialist? Maybe
Not
that-
yet, because this is the first time I hear about the tier 2 specialist.
Okay, yeah, so that might be a good workaround that you can do is when calling FAFSA, just ask for that tier 2 specialist to see if they can help with that issue. It seems like it's frustrating. It might just be a glitch. I mean, there's so many glitches still around going out on still.
Okay, yeah,
I
because
was on a call, oh, sorry, Nate. I was on a call yesterday and they did mention that if that is happening, if the FAFSA has not been submitted yet, then to delete it and start over.
it won't let the student delete it
It won't
either.
let you delete it?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then we have already tried where the parent looks for the form, you know, how it can link to a different, where you put like your student's name and all that to kind of like see it and stuff, and it doesn't let them. It just gives them the option to start a 23-24 form instead of doing the 24-25 form.
Yeah, it seems like it might be just a glitch. I would advise just to try to get in contact with FAFSA and just ask for a tier 2 specialist.
Okay, because I have a lot of parents that have been really frustrated, and like I feel like they're getting mad at me now also, and it's like, well, I don't know. It's been frustrating for them.
I know, try to stay positive. You're doing a great job with, you know, all the issues that we have to deal with.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your work, yeah.
Yeah, and if you want a second set of eyes, I mean, feel free to book an appointment with one of our specialists. If you want one of them to look over, you know, with you, you could join the appointment as well with the student and the parent, and we could try to take a look with you and see if we can help resolve it.
Yeah, we also, Sophie and I, we have office hours. So if you want to just schedule an appointment with us, we can schedule like a Teams or like a Zoom meeting, and we can work through the application with you and the student and the parent to see if we're able to resolve it. You know, like if it's a glitch or an issue like that, maybe we won't be able to. Do we have any other questions or other issues you all have been encountering with students since you all are working with students one-on-one? No, it's a quiet group.
If you don't have questions right now, that's fine. You're welcome to contact us later and let us know, you know, somebody showed up in your office at 1:15 with all these problems, etc. We're happy to help. Like Martha said, we can't always resolve issues when it's out of our hands, but I love how CMC was pointing out there are some things we can control. So please reach out anytime.
Awesome. Since there is no questions, I will pass it over to Jen so she can talk to you all about our events coming up and any other updates that we might have.
Yeah, thanks, Martha. And thank you, Janelle and Teresa and Sophie. That was such great information that we can all take with us. Thank you to all of you for taking this time today to join this session. I want to let you know that our next Lunch and Learn will be April 24th from noon to 1. I will put the link to register in the chat. Feel free to share this with your friends, your coworkers, whoever you think might be appropriate to join in on the next FAFSA. We also have some other events coming up. The Educators Financial Aid Training is finally next week, April 6th at Colorado Mesa University. Sure to be a great event. Also, I wanted to let you know that April 6th, that same day, Senator James Coleman and our very own Dr. Angie Piccioni are going to be at Northfield High School. They are going to be there from 11 to noon to discuss higher education accessibility, affordability, and attainment. So that's sure to be a lively discussion. If you are interested in registering for that event, please do so by April 1st. And I will put that link in the chat as well. And then let's see, on April 8th, we are participating with the Daniels Fund to discuss the impact of the Better FAFSA. That's, I'm sure, going to be another interesting discussion. They would like you to register for that event by April 3rd. So we will go ahead and put that link in the chat as well. But if there's, and Sophie mentioned it, if there's anything that we can do to help you or your students or their families, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Sophie and Martha, if you'd like to do the same, I think that might be useful for everyone. And even Janelle and Teresa, I don't know if you're open to that. But I'll just take a moment. We do have a few more minutes. So is there anyone who'd like to share anything for the good of the group? Take a moment to speak. All right, well then I know how valuable your time is. We will go ahead and give you some minutes back. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you at any of our future events. And if there's anything we can do to support, please feel free to reach out. But have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Take care.